Yes, hello guys, and welcome to another video. Today it's been quite some time now. I took some breakouts, but yeah, I'm back again, and we're going to be talking about networking with football clubs. So let's jump straight into it. You see, most new agents fail because they have no clue on what actually works at clubs. So I've helped a lot of agents and also a lot of football people to network with football clubs. So if you're one of these people that you're struggling to network with football clubs or struggling to contact sporting directors, stick around if you're one of them, and I'm going to help you, guide you some tips that can help you network and get the right result. Okay, get a pen and paper and let's move straight into it. You see, I understand this situation because when I started also, it was always like this. So, but right now, I'm in a different situation, of course, because of consistency makes you learn how the industry is all about. But I'm here to help you guys also because when I started, no one was there to help me. But so I totally understand where you are coming from. So without hesitation, let's jump into it and see what problems people faced and how to tackle those problems. So I'll be looking at some notes I put down so that I can help guide you guys very well. Okay, so with the notes I put down, problems agents face when networking with clubs. So number one is no clue understanding of what clubs value in relationships. So when you're talking about when you're going to network with a club, you don't need to just think all about yourself. You have to look at what the club values in their relationship. You have to go a little bit and dig deep what's about the signings of the clubs, how they have acted, because this is a big industry. For you to really get something going inside it, you have to work hard a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing is understand how the clubs deal with relationship with agents, scouts, or whosoever they are working with. If you can learn that, then it will help you also guide you to also learn how to handle relationships with clubs. And then the next is approaching without a plan of purpose. When you approach a club and just say you have a player, as most agents do, they won't tend to contact they won't tend to reply to you because they know that, well, you're just like a sales person. You're not actually into their own interests. Yeah, so you understand. But if you want to contact a club and then send a data of key stats, everything what they have been actually doing, and say, okay, look at this player, it matches your key stats, they are going to probably work with you. So let's take, for example, let me break this down. Let's take, for example, you have a player, but instead of you sending that player to the sporting director or whosoever, you then first go and try to analyze the club, the key stats, what the club is doing, how they play, the number of passes they do, the transition they consist, all those kind of things. You do it and then you send it to the club. When you send this to the club, then you send it to your player. It's totally different because the club looks at you like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. So these are one of the two things that he has to always be very important. You have to always be very keen on, okay, that you remember to make your stats valuable so that it can show that you are professional enough to do this stuff. The next thing is not knowing who to talk with within a club. So you see, I think most agents, of course, this is not, I'm not blaming you guys, but this also happened to when you are new in a business. When you have your license, you start contacting maybe anyone, you start contacting maybe people who are the social media department just to get hold of maybe the sporting director. You see, in a football club, it's like a big company. The sporting director has his own department and all those other people have their own department. So you have to always know who to contact. That's very important. If you can write 1,000 messages to the social media department, they might never reply because it's not their job and they don't have that time to go to the sporting director and link you up. They might not even be working with the sporting director, but they are working in the same club. They might not be friends with sporting directors. So that's how a football club is that very big. I knew this because also when I was going inside into football clubs, talking to, when you speak to, maybe when you have a conversation with the social media department and I ask them about the sporting director, they say, well, you don't know his program. Then because probably in your head, you'll be thinking that, well, you work in the same club, you should know everybody's program. No, The football club is that big that some people can have meetings somewhere, some people can be traveling to attend meetings in different places. So you cannot really always know. So you say that's very important. Okay, so pay attention to that. That always know who you're contacting. Then another thing that I see agents face is talking only about your player instead of making it mutually beneficial. If you contact a club and you or a club talking only about your things, the club is not really interested about you. They want to know what can benefit them. That's the reality. So you have to always talk about how their system works and how a player can benefit that system. Yeah. So don't talk about you have this player that is super talented than everyone. He's going to score 50 goals. No, give them stats about what they have been doing. When you provide that kind of value, then you say at one point in time, it's almost like in business, you say provide value, and then the end, then before you can provide something like a solution. So then you come up now and say, okay, but look at this player stats. Look at this. It matches probably what you are trying to do. So this is very important for you guys that you learn this also in this world, in this community, or in this football business. And also now not following up consistently to keep the relationship alive, it might die because everybody, if you're not following up, the people, if you follow up most often than not, you're going to get more contact than other people who don't follow up. That's just the nature of the business. That's why you see in the business, some people are up there, some people are down there. The people who are up there constantly follow up and not tweak their replies and try to answer, because you might write someone the previous day, the person might not reply, but he might be in a business meeting or whatsoever, and he's tired and he comes back and he forgets. But when you remind him with a very professional follow up, he might come back to revisit that and then reply. So that's just how the business works. Okay. So now the solution to all this that I've been telling you is, first, no clear understanding of what clubs value in relationship. So as I said, you have to research club. This is just a recap. You have to research the club, recent transfer style of play, also the financial situation, know what value before you start conversation, know what the club can really meet up. Don't come to a club that the transfer budget is probably 100 million and you're proposing a single player for 50 million, whereas the club want to do maybe 5 business transfer. It's not going to work. Okay, they're not going to reply you. So you have to also research the club's transfer policy. The next thing, as we spoke of, approaching without a plan of purpose, have a specific reason for contacting them. Of course, maybe you have a player that fits their needs, that can need, as I said, provide stats that can show that it can help that club. That's just a recap of that one. Yeah. And also the next part we spoke about was not knowing what to contact, not knowing who to contact within the club. Identify the right decision makers, if it's a sporting director, head of scout, academy managers, and focus on communicating with them. Don't go contacting the HR or contacting other people. Of course, it might work, but most of the time it won't work because a football club is just a huge entity. Okay, try to spot on the right people to contact. If it is scout, if it is head of equipment, and whosoever. Okay, good. Okay, and then talking only about your players doesn't really help matters. So try to show them that you can solve a problem in the team. If the team is not scoring goals, go to the market and research a striker. Talk to that striker. Those who do a lot of jobs get to, when you're in the football business, if you do a lot of this, then you're only going to succeed because it's a matter of time, because you're putting yourself out there. When you start researching, for example, if a team is not scoring goal, you research a striker who is scoring and need opportunity and try to connect them with that club. You might have your chance by doing that. Okay. And then the last one we also spoke of, not following up consistently, because as I said, the sporting director might be in a tight meeting and comes back and forget because his schedule is always busy. But if you remind him maybe 7 days after with a warm message and stay professional, you might get a reply, or you can get a reply. This is just how the business works. Okay, you're doing this to get your foot inside the door, and when you say one player, the rest become history. Okay, but That's it for what we're trying to achieve or what we're talking about. That's it for this. I hope it helps you and also helps you sign your first player or get in contact with football clubs. Okay, take care and talk to you in a bit. Cheers.